So step one of the creative process is ask, and you can't stop doing that all day, every day. Life just causes that to happen. So you've been putting things in your vortex without even knowing you're doing it, just by being alive in this body, moving through life, moving through space and time with others around you. Step two is, since you've created this vortex, and since source, your inner being, is standing right in the middle of it, everything that you've asked for, your inner being has already vibrationally become. All of the things that you've been asking for, a part of you stands as the culmination of already. Not too satisfying for you, however, because it's a vibrational reality that you have to tune into. Just like tuning your radio tuner to the frequency of what's being broadcast. If you don't have your tuner set to the station that you want to hear, then you're not going to hear it. It is not different from that. In fact, it's exactly the same as that. It's vibrational. And so here's this broadcast of you, all of the abundance, all of the well-being, all of the clarity, all of the deliberateness being broadcast to you all day, every day. But you have to do step three, which is adjust your tuner to that frequency. And over time, we've called that being in the state of allowing yourself to receive. We've called it being in the receiving mode, which means tuned to the frequency so that you can hear. And today what we're wanting to say to you is that step three, what it really is being in a vibrational frequency where what your inner being knows, you know too. The state of allowing. The state of allowing yourself to be. Jerry always wanted to put all of our books in the bookstores with a label that said self-help from your total self. So it's that total self that we want you to be aware of, that whole of you, that inner being you. But we don't want it to be the inner being only. We want it to be the inner being that you let out, the inner being that you let out into your world, the inner being that comes out of your mouth, the inner being that is your wisdom. In other words, it's a blending of who you really are. And we want to say to you, finally, and then we'll open it for whatever you want to talk about, that the only thing that ever causes you at any time to ever not feel good about anything, the only time that you ever feel fear or depression or anger or even frustration or disappointment, the only time that you ever feel that, the only reason that you ever feel that is because you are not in that receiving mode, and you are therefore not allowing yourself to receive the fullness of what you've asked for. And you know, if your life hadn't caused you to ask for it, then you're not letting yourself receive it, wouldn't bother you. But that's not the case. Your life did cause you to ask for it, and now you've got no choice if you want to feel good other than to let it in. It's time for you to get in the receiving mode. It's time for you to live the purpose of what you came to live. It's time for you to be who you really are. It's time for you to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. It's time for you to begin receiving the flow, the stream of conscious awareness about you into your world. It's time for that. Don't you think it's time for that? Don't you think it's time for that? Don't you think it's time? Not only is it time, but it's time for it to be a consistent thing. Step 3 feels wonderful, but you know what step 4 is? Step 4 is mastering that. Step 4 is caring about how you feel. Step 4 is recognizing the importance of how you feel and knowing how you feel, what how you feel means. Knowing that when you feel elation, that you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And knowing that when you feel anger, that you're not. And the mastery of that includes understanding that the thing that you're looking at, the thing that you are having a knee-jerk response to, is not the problem. The problem is that you're looking at that thing that's making you feel like that. And you say, Abraham, it's my kid. Do you really want me to turn the other cheek? Yes. Not only does your kid want that, we want that for all of you. Why look at what makes you feel a way that your inner being does not feel? And you say, oh, Abraham, we have to face reality, and you should too. And we say, you are not a facer of reality. You are a creator of reality. But when you face reality, you create a reality just like the reality that you're facing. If you'd like the reality that you're facing to be different, then you've got to stop looking at the reality that you're looking at. Because when you look at the reality that you're looking at, you're offering a vibration, and law of attraction is responding to the vibration, and you're creating more of the reality that you don't like, that you don't want to create. So every time you feel negative emotion, that's what that means. You're looking at and therefore continuing a reality that you don't want to look at or continue. So stop it. We are eager to talk with you about anything that matters to you. It is our desire to help you find the receiving mode for what you are wanting. It is our desire that today it becomes very clear to you how you could be talking about a subject and believing that you are affirming what you do want, when in reality you are affirming the absence of what you really want. We want to show you how subtle it is, how a subject is really two subjects. We want to show you how to find the frequency of the subject that matters to you and how to hone yourself into that frequency. And then, most important, we want you to experience the full conscious awareness of watching the entire universe cooperate with your desire. Once you, these are the operative words, once you, this is the thing that we want you to hear more than anything ever in your entire life. Drum roll, please. Once you become a vibrational match to your own reality. In other words, you've got to become a vibrational match to your own reality. You just do. Can you step back a little bit and see the perspective, the big picture? Can you feel the ongoingness of that which is you? Can you get a little whiff of the eternalness that is you? Just a little bit. Can you feel the view of source looking upon you, not at you, not over you, looking with you? Can you feel the bigness of all of your moving parts? And can you feel the steady resonance of well-being that is at the basis of all of that? Can you feel the basis of love that we have all come from? And can you feel the steadiness of that never-ending stream? Can you feel the masses of those who are moving about in wellness, in consciousness, in communities, living in houses, eating food, in civilization, in what you don't even want to call civilization? But let's just feel the numbers, the sheer numbers in the billions of just the human species who is mostly living well-being. And now acknowledge that there are pieces of your day that don't go so well, but not mostly, and that there are some aspects of your community that are off kilter a little bit, but not mostly, and that there are pieces of the world that are not thriving, but not mostly. And just put it in perspective. And now step back even further and acknowledge the longevity that is you, the coming into a life experience and the coming to new awarenesses and new desires, and then another generation and another and another and another. And acknowledge the improvement in the thoughts that are turned to things that you can witness. Notice the improvement in this time-space reality and in the way the majority of you live. And just accept that well-being is not just a little more than the not well-being. It is so dominant, it is so pervasive, that it is borderline ridiculous for any of you to find some very small, minuscule aspect of something in comparison or in relationship and turn your attention to it. And notice that even though masses of you do that in an impersonal way through your media and through your televisions, that still you do not really disrupt things, because there are too many of you who are too connected with source energy, and source energy is too dominant. The well-being is dominant. And so feel how unsettling and unnecessary and how really ridiculous it is to scrutinize your planet and find things to focus on, even in your own house or even in your own family or even in your own world, that you are using as your temporary right now excuse to cut yourself off from the receptive mode, which is the only thing that you ever want anyway. Every single thing that you want, whether it's a material object or a state of being or a pile of money or an experience or a circumstance or an event or a relationship. Every single thing you want is because you believe that you would feel better in having it. And what we want to say to you is you would feel better in having a relationship with your own inner being. You would feel better being in the receptive mode. Don't ask the conditions of the world to need to change in order for you to feel better. You've got to get out of that conditional mode because you can't control the conditions. And what's really, really interesting about it is that most of the conditions are good anyway. It's trying to control the little piddly conditions that you can't control that's keeping you out of the receptive mode and then making you feel unsettled or making you feel paranoid or making you feel terrorized, you see. For no reason whatsoever other than a lack of discipline in the way you focus, or maybe a lack of understanding that it's a vibrational world. But you're past that. You have no lack of understanding that this is a vibrational world. You know that, we know that, we know that you know that, and you know that we know that you know that. In other words, you know that this is a vibrational world, and you know that you have guidance within you, and you know when you're focused in a productive way, and you know when you're focused in an unproductive way. You know your guidance system is alive and well within you, you see. And so if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would never again give anyone else the permission or the leeway or the latitude to be the reason that we don't feel good about anything. We would just keep acknowledging that I create my own reality and I'm the attractor of my own reality and I attract my reality by what I think about, and I could do a better job of thinking things that would serve me well, and then just set out to reach for thoughts that feel better and better and better and better and better. And when someone comes to you and says, ooh, what do you think about that happened there? If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would say, I want to be a world citizen, and I want to get everything in perspective. And so I'm in the process of taking it all in. In other words, don't counter them. Don't push against them. Don't try to convince them that you're not thinking about that. Don't try to make them wrong for thinking about that. We're not trying to make you wrong for thinking about that. We're just wanting you to understand that every single time you focus in opposition to what's in your vortex, you will terrorize yourself a little bit. And there are some subjects that are bigger than others, like staying in your physical body, or like the people that you care about staying in their physical bodies, which is sort of the subject that you sat down to talk most about. And we want you to understand that from your inner being's point of view, staying in your physical bodies is not of any value whatsoever, unless while you are in these physical bodies, you are tuned in to who you really are and what you're really wanting. You're lovely in your bodies, but that's only a tiny little bit of who you are. The larger part of you is source, non-physically focused energy. You've been calling that your soul. We call that your inner being. But it's the larger part of you, and it is focused with you, to you, and through you all day, every day. And that part of you is a high frequency with no resistance. You might translate it in words to be the vibration of love, or the vibration of clarity, the vibration of well-being, the vibration of worthiness, the vibration of absolute knowing. It's the vibration of infinite intelligence. That's who you really are. And as you are here in this physical body, whether you know it or not, you are for sure having a relationship, a primary, important, dominant relationship with that non-physical energy part of you, that inner being you. And that relationship between the non-physical you and the physical you can most easily be recognized by you by your emotions. For example, when you feel rapturous love about something or someone, or you are feeling appreciation that just makes you feel as if you are turning inside out, what that means is your thought that you are thinking with your thinking mechanism right here in this body, in this personality, this thought that you are having right now matches perfectly with the thought that your inner being is having right here, right now about the same thing. There's a perfect blend, and that's why there is no resistance. There's just pure flow. It's you and you. It's you and you. That's why it feels so good. That's what passion is. That's what that feeling of powerful, good feeling, that's what love is. That's what appreciation is. So as you are realizing that you are an extension of this non-physical energy, and that you are a team with this non-physical energy, in other words, we are all in this together. But you came not only for the experience of sifting through the contrast in order to determine the new desires. Oh, you new creative genius creatures out here on the leading edge, having experiences and relationships and combinations with others that have never been before unto all of the universe. And through that synthesization, through that experience of